Laura Schwartz, and I'm a regional consultant for Scholastic in the Central Region. I'm going to present to you today a few slides from the Common Core Codex program. Codex is a middle school reading language arts program, and it is aligned completely with the Common Core standards. I'm going to show you now the instructional model for 45 to 50 minutes. The teacher would start first with whole class instruction, and that would take place for about 10 or 15 minutes, and during that time the teacher would be instructing students in academic vocabulary and also doing some modeled and fluent reading. Then the students would move into small groups, and half of the students could be in a small group that's led by the teacher. These might be students in special education or students who are English language learners. And during this time they would answer text-dependent questions, maybe conference with the teacher, and maybe review some of the text that they had just read, doing some close reading activities. The other group would be more capable students who might be working independently or with partners or in small groups, doing text-dependent questions or doing some reading, rereading of the text, and so forth. The final part of the program of the day would be whole group instruction, where you would end the day with a wrap-up where the teacher would help the students synthesize the lesson. And that would take place for about 5 to 10 minutes. And this icon would appear at the end of the day's lesson in the textbook, and it would have a question that could be used as an exit slip for the students. Another idea, if you have a 90-minute model, you could spend the first 40 minutes as a whole group and use the text-dependent questions and the vocabulary routine and modeled and fluent reading during that time, going over the anchor text with the students. And then in the center time, in the middle 40 minutes, the students could be grouped into two small groups. One group would be, as I talked about before, with the teacher, doing text-dependent questions, having some reteaching being done, and the other group could be more capable students who are working independently, collaboratively, in groups. Then finally, the last 10 minutes would be whole group wrap-up. These two groups would rotate after a period of 20 minutes so that the teachers would be in contact with everybody during that class time. A 90-minute block, another example of it, would be starting the class with 10 minutes of whole group instruction and then 30 minutes of the rotations of small group and some students working more independently. The center part could be spent on literature, where students are either reading the Codex novel, which would take place after the 3rd or 4th unit, or doing independent reading, or doing literature circles. Literature circles are found at the back of the Codex Teacher Edition. And then finally the wrap-up at the end. How many of you are familiar with RTI, Response to Intervention? Well, Codex fits in as a Tier 1 program, but it also includes scaffolding activities for students who may be English language learners or students who are struggling. Scholastic's Tier 2 program is Read 180, which deals with comprehension and fluency, and Tier 3 program is System 44, which deals with more functional literacy and decoding. The Codex program comes with many icons, which are color-coded, and they help guide your instruction. We have a language vocabulary, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Notice they're color-coded, and the icons appear throughout the whole program. Here's the close reading icon, skills and strategies, and that check mark we talked about for the wrap-up at the end. These icons represent the 3 readings that you do with every anchor text, and the text complexity model, which has which accompanies all the texts, the anchor text plus the literature circle books and so forth. And also for differentiation of instruction, English language learners are identified. There's information for them. Struggling readers, students with disabilities, and gifted and talented differentiation. These icons represent the groupings. So this would be teacher-led, a student working independently, students working with partners, and small groups. These are the content area icons, and these are shown with every unit. So you can see how it relates to history, science, economics, and so forth. The Codex program, at the beginning of each unit, there's a unit planning guide. And notice that it will indicate about how many days it will take for each of the components that you're going to be including. And also everything is color-coded. So your introduction and your anchor text, they come in blue. Academic vocabulary is always in orange. At the bottom, you can also see the connections to the standards, and at the very bottom, you have information about assessments, that these are formative assessments, and at the end of the entire unit, you can give a summative assessment. And differentiation of instruction is always in yellow. For the anatomy of a Codex unit, these are the components. You have 2 anchor texts, and they include reading the text, close reading, vocabulary, and daily writing. There's a collaborate and present task, which is in red, which includes speaking, listening, and research, where students work together and present. And there's writing instruction that always occurs in green, with language and conventions. All of these lead to a writing performance task, and the work that's done by the student helps prepare them for the next generation assessments, the requirements that they'll need to be ready for. And then finally, anchor texts 3 and 4 could be extended readings. The small and whole group instruction, here is a guide of how many days it takes to complete each of the components. So there's the introduction, you would spend a day on that, building that background knowledge. Day 2, teaching academic vocabulary. Day 3, first reading of that anchor text. Day 4 through 7, doing the second and third reading of text 1. And then it repeats with text 2, you do the same thing. And then day 15 to 17 is that read, the plan and delivery of that presentation that the students would do. Day 18, read and analyze a model essay. 19 through 24, they're writing that written performance task. And then the extended readings come at the end. If you would open up your implementation guide, or IG, to page 25, you will find a reflection for the components of the program. And if you would read through pages 26 all the way to the end through to page 44, or 45, let me see. These are the parts that are described, and we'll walk you through what a sample unit would look like through page 44. So when you get a chance, read pages 27 through 44. The text that we'll be using during the training will be the sampler, and in the sampler you will find Course 1, which is 6th grade, Unit 4, the Coming to America, and we'll be using this part of the program. Course 2, Unit 5, we're going to be using the implementation guide and looking at the stolen childhoods. What I'd like you to do right now is we're going to get you back into the Common Core Codex teacher sampler, and we're going to have you do a jigsaw. How many of you are familiar with doing a jigsaw? Okay, so we're going to have you number off 1 through 5 and take note of the reading assignment that you have. and read closely and take notes. And we want you to share your learning in small groups. So all the number ones would get together and do the pages that are assigned here. All the twos would do the academic vocabulary pages. Threes, anchor texts 1 and 2 on these pages in the sampler. Group 4, collaborate and present. And Group 5, writing performance task. Then you would go back to your home group and share what you learned from this. The focus question that, while you're looking through the book, is what will help you teach this part of Codex? And taking off my, stepping aside from looking directly at the slideshow presentation that came with the program, Maya Chen Whitney recommended that we change this question. She felt that it was a better question. Does anyone have any questions? And I want to also make one comment, is I also have a 22-minute video, but I wasn't able to send that one to you. So should you want that, I can send it, show that one to you, which was much more involved than the one I just did. Thank you very much. How long was that?